8:45. This is a Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The government focuses its attention on using the mineral and fuel resources of this country to strengthen the economy. Health trade unions stage protests today. Director General for President's Trade Union Affairs, Saman Ratnapriya, says some political parties are trying to create an ethnic conflict in the country. Applications are called from qualified graduates to fill the teacher vacancies of the schools in the Western Province. Import tax on powdered milk increased. Date fixed for hearing of Pastor Jerome's petition. Sri Lanka to import test kits to detect Nipah virus after outbreak in Kerala. In news overseas, Nepal, teachers strike over education reforms shuts down schools. And in sports news, it's cricket. And in women's Asian Games, Priyadarshini stars as Sri Lanka cruises into semis, Bangladesh advances after washout. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the local news. State Minister Arundhika Fernando said the government focuses its attention on using the mineral and fuel resources of this country to strengthen the economy. More value could be added to these fuel-based products, the State Minister also said. These development activities should be carefully guided while protecting the country's territorial integrity. The State Minister made these remarks at a media conference held at the Presidential Media Centre today. Sri Lanka can be made a hub in the Indian Ocean for marine and navigation activities. Effective measures will be taken to protect the marine and coastal resources of this country, the minister added. Sri Lanka's Ministry of Health has placed orders to import test kits to detect Nipah infections after the southern Indian state of Kerala reported an outbreak of bat-borne virus. However, the ministry said Sri Lankans should not have any undue fears about this virus infection, adding that the ordered test kits are expected to reach the country in the coming days. Following the outbreak in Kerala, the Indian government has moved to institute mass testing to arrest the spread of Nipah virus. The southern Indian state has thus far reported 2 deaths from the virus infections, with more than 700 people testing positive. Nipah is a rare but potentially serious virus that can cause fever, vomiting and respiratory infections in humans. Symptoms appear from 4 to 14 days after exposure. Fruit bats are the natural host of the Nipah virus. Most often, severe cases involve seizures and inflammation of the brain and can progress to a coma within 28 to 48 hours, according to the experts. The World Health Organization says the fatality rate is estimated at 40 to 75%. However, this rate can vary by outbreak depending on the local capabilities of epidemiological surveillance and clinical management. Director General of President's Trade Union Affairs, Saman Ratnapriya, said some political parties are trying to create an ethnic conflict in the country. He further said a 3-decade war, is a Sunday attack and other unnecessary mass protests were the main causes for the downfall of the economy. Mr. Ratnapriya also pointed out that people should not get misled to create an ethnic conflict at a time where the country is slowly coming up amidst challenges. Mr. Ratnapriya made these remarks at a media conference held in Colombo today. Some political parties have also expressed their views in this regard. Those political parties allege that the government is not prepared to revisit the Easter Sunday attack incident in a comprehensive and a transparent manner. However, the government sources have downplayed the allegation, stating that a major portion of the investigations are over and the verdicts are given by the Supreme Court of the country. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. The fundamental rights petition filed by Pastor Jerome Fernando requesting the court to issue an order preventing his arrest by the Criminal Investigations Department is set to be heard before the Court of Appeal on the 4th of October. The relevant order was given when the matter was taken before the Appeals Court President, Justice Nisanka Bandula Karunaratne and Justice Chamath Marias today. On the 26th of May, the self-styled prophet filed an FR petition before the Supreme Court through his attorneys seeking an order preventing his arrest. The Inspector General of Police, the DIG in charge of the CID, and the CID Director and the officer in charge of the Cybercrimes Unit of the CID had been named as the respondents of the FR petition. In his petition, the pastor deemed the CID's attempts to arrest him was unlawful, claiming that the police have not presented any piece of evidence to the court to prove that his comments threaten the religious harmony in the country. Port and Aviation Airport levy on imported milk powder has been increased by 10%, says the Trade Minister Nalin Fernando. The tax increase comes into effect from today. However, the prices of powdered milk in the local market will not be increased following the PAL hike, Minister Fernando assured. Several trade unions from the health sector, along with a group of civil service organizations, reportedly scheduled a protest in front of the hospitals today over the existing disparities in the health sector and the ongoing medicine shortage. Accordingly, the health union had decided to stage a protest during the lunch break today in a manner that would not interfere with the treatment of patients. Commenting on the matter, Dr. Madhura Seniviratna, District Secretary of the Nuwara Eliya District of All Ceylon Health Trade Union Federation, explained that the protests were organized in response to the government's failure to take measures required to solve the issues within the health sector. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The government focuses its attention on using the mineral and fuel resources of this country to strengthen the economy. Health trade unions to stage protest today. Director General for President's Trade Union Affairs, Saman Ratnapriya, says that some political parties are trying to create an ethnic conflict in the country. Applications are called from qualified graduates to fill the teacher vacancies of the schools in the Western Province. Import tax on powdered milk increased. Date fixed for hearing of Pastor Jerome's petition. Sri Lanka to impose test kits to detect Nipah virus after the outbreak in Kerala. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Veda Mahatmya.
The main news story for tonight, applications are called from qualified graduates to fill the teacher vacancies of schools in the Western Province. The closing date for the applications will be the 9th of October. A relevant Gazette notification was published today. It is expected to recruit teachers from all three mediums, including Sinhala, Tamil and English, to fill the vacancies. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Veda Mahatmya.
In Washington tonight, the water supply for parts of Colombo will be suspended from 6 p.m. on Saturday until 6 a.m. on Sunday, the National Water Supply and Drainage Board says. Accordingly, Colombo 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15 areas will be affected by the 12-hour water cut. The water cut is a result of the essential maintenance work planned under the Ambatale Water Supply System Improvements and Energy Saving Project. And that came to you in Watch Light.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
It's the power to live life your way. The power to be a trendsetter. Power to you with digital banking from Commercial Bank. Commercial Bank. Our interest is in you.
Headlines of the world news. Nepal teachers strike over education reform shuts down schools. Warner Brothers to expand Barbie movie studios in the UK. China Me Too activist stands trial for subversion. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the world news. A massive teacher strike in Nepal has entered its third day, disrupting classes for millions of students across all public schools. About 110,000 teachers are protesting an education reform bill in the parliament. They are against proposals to give local governments oversight of schools and a ban on teachers joining groups with political affiliations. On Thursday, scores of protesters marched towards the parliament building in the capital, Kathmandu. Warner Brothers Discovery has announced a major expansion of the UK studios where much of the Barbie movie was filmed. The project will see a capacity of the facility near London growing by more than 50%. It will create 4,000 direct or indirect jobs across the country, according to the media giant. A leading activist in China's Me Too movement has gone on trial for subversion, according to campaigners. Journalist Sophia Zheng Xingku appeared in court in the southern city of Guangzhou on Friday with a co-accused labor campaigner Wang Jianbing. The two were detained in the year 2021 as part of China's wide crackdown on activists. Rights groups have raised concern over their condition while in detention. And that was the world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
This message is for all the kids between the ages of 4 and 16 who love to draw. Commercial Bank's Arunalu Sittam is back once again. This time, the competition is also open to Sri Lankan kids currently living abroad. First, second and third place prizes will be awarded along with special merit and merit certificates. For more information, visit the Commercial Bank website. We have so many prizes to be won.
Development news.
In development news, Sri Lanka will earn a close to $8 to $9 billion this year in tourism and remittances, said HSBC economist for India, Indonesia and Sri Lanka, Ayushi Chowdhury. She also expressed optimism on Sri Lanka's economic struggling that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and the ongoing recovery is gaining momentum. That said, the hard work must continue in terms of pushing ahead with structural reforms and foreign debt restructuring negotiations. She made these observations at the Second Economic Forum under the theme Navigating the Market Landscape and Opportunities in Sri Lanka, held to discuss and share insights into the latest global trends and opportunities emerging from economic growth in Sri Lanka. It was sponsored by HSBC and over 200 corporate leaders attended an event held in Colombo. That was the development news. And from that, let's move on to sports news. It's cricket. Thailand were restricted to 78 for the loss of 7 before Sri Lanka aced the chase, and Bangladesh came against Hong Kong abandoned with a ball being bowled. Inoshi Priyadarshini's career best returns of 4 for 10 backed up by a quick 32 from Anushka Sanjeevani helped Sri Lanka brush aside Thailand by 8 wickets and advance to the semi-finals of the Asian Games in Hangzhou. And moving on to the scoreboard, Thailand batted first and made 78 for the loss of 7, and in reply, Sri Lanka made 84 for the loss of 2 wickets and won the match by 8 wickets. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life ekේ change eකට niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu veena habe karanna youth eකට niyameta set wenna friendship එක menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Central Bank has released financial soundness indicators as a key tool for communicating the performance of banks and finance companies supervised by the Central Bank. The publication includes key ratios and financials used in policy analysis for identifying strengths and vulnerabilities in the financial system. The publication presents sectoral financial information such as assets, liabilities, earnings, profits and capital, whilst providing key ratios associated with each category. This publication will be useful and reliable source for reference for those who are interested in performance of major financial institutions in Sri Lanka. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life ekේ change eකට niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu veena habe karanna youth eකට niyameta set wenna friendship එක menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Investment Promotion State Minister Dilum Amanugama said that he has succeeded in obtaining over $550 million worth foreign direct investments to Sri Lanka after he visited and met Chinese investors last week. He said that all these investments would be centered on Port City Colombo. In addition, Chinese have also expressed interest in setting up a special export processing zone in Hambantota. They have selected Hambantota mainly due to its having an international harbour which makes import of raw material and re-export economical. One of the biggest projects would be establishing of a comprehensive international university at the Port City Colombo. This will be with hostel facilities, and it is planned to attract foreign students. That was economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather report.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the western, Sabargamur and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts, the Meteorology Department says in its weather forecast for today. Showers